So here is the horizontal or pedigree view of my family tree. Now you can always switch your tree views. Here, the default is vertical. That includes everybody, like all the siblings and cousins and aunts and uncles and everyone. I prefer to keep myself in the horizontal view. It's a little bit cleaner. And then if I want to look at a complete family unit, I just go into the profile page of any one of the people on my family tree. I use the vertical view primarily when I'm trying to track descendants, children and grandchildren of a couple and need to see them kind of all on one screen, especially when I'm doing DNA work. There are other views for your tree here, but this is my tree. And the first thing that I just want to reiterate, especially for those of you who are brand new to family history, is that when you enter women into your family tree, you always enter them by their maiden name and their maiden name only. If you try to add her married names, there's some things that start to happen that get a little bit wonky. The first thing is that when you attach a husband to her, when you attach her to a husband, Ancestry already recognizes that in most places in the history of the world, not all, but most over time, women would take the name of their husband. And so we are already looking for her by his name, just by nature of the fact that you've entered her as a spouse. So as soon as you start trying to fill in all of her married names into that last name space, it actually kind of convolutes the process, and those algorithms that are doing the hinting and the searching and the matching for you, or trying to give you some of that assistance. The other reason that I strongly recommend it, it is a genealogical standard, but I just want to reiterate that you only put her in the tree by her maiden name, is because if you don't know it, you don't want to add a husband's name, because then that kind of obscures the fact for you that you're missing a piece of information. And so this is what it looks like in my tree when I don't know the maiden name of a woman. Now, as you can see, I know all the way back here to these great grandparents. I've got all of these maiden names. I didn't always, but as we expand my tree, you'll start to see people like here's Mary. Mary, I do not know her maiden name. And so I could have just left the field blank. That is an option. My personal preference is I will put 5 underscores into that surname field, because what that does, as you can see here, is it creates this nice little blank line. So at a glance, I can tell that I've got a missing piece of information right there. Now, if I had put in her husband's name, it would not have been as obvious that I was missing that piece of information. So that is just a personal preference. You can also leave it blank. But what I don't want you to do is I don't want you putting in her husband's surname as her surname, because again, genealogical standard says we enter women into the family tree by their maiden name and their maiden name only. And then as you attach spouses, we recognize she may have used other names at different periods of time in her life. Now, somebody's going to ask what that little emoji is. I drop a little ship emoji into the suffix field in my family tree on those people who are immigrants in my family tree from somewhere else to the United States. My tree is primarily rooted in the United States, though you'll see I do have immigrants fairly recently. I mean, my most recent immigrants are here in the 1850s-ish. So that's what that emoji is. But you can see as I look at my tree, very quickly, because I've got those 5 underscores, those women pop out of the screen at me, and it is really obvious when I am missing a piece of information. There's one there, right? And kind of keep working my way through the different generations here, and you can see where I am missing that information. Now, there's one over here. Now, there are a lot of people on Ancestry. Like if I look at some of these people, right? Let's look at Susanna, for example. There are people on Ancestry who think they know what her maiden name is, and they think they know who her parents are. However, I'm not really convinced that they're right. So I did not enter the maiden name that someone else on Ancestry thought was her maiden name, nor did I enter the parents that someone else thought were her parents. And the reason is, again, because if I did that, it would give me this false sense of security that I had already found that information. And by leaving that last name field blank or putting in those underscores, by not adding those parents that someone else thinks might be her parents, it gives me a visual clue that I still have some work to do here to prove or disprove the information that is out there about what her last name is and who her parents are. It's really, really easy, especially with women, when we get frustrated because we can't find information about them, to just copy what other people have put into their trees. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, what that means is we end up climbing someone else's family tree, not our own, because we've attached the wrong information and we didn't have a way to remind ourselves to go back and look at it again. So for myself, what I do are these 5 underscores to let me know I'm missing a maiden name and that I have some work to do there on that particular generation. Now, you will occasionally see a couple of men in my tree also with those underscores. Typically, that's going to be in the first name field. So, for example, if I know that a woman was married to a man, but I don't know his first name. Maybe she's listed in an obituary or a parent's will by her married name. What I'll do is I'll create a spouse that has that last name, but I don't know his first name. And so he gets the 5 underscores in the first name field so that I know, again, I've got these 2 people connected as spouses. Ancestry will automatically be looking for her by both surnames, but I don't know the first name of her husband yet. Again, it's a visual indicator to me that I have some information that I need to go look up or do some research about. Also, if I happen to know a sibling of someone, but I don't know their parents' names, I will add a father. So in this case, I know who one of George's brothers is, but I don't know who their parents are. So I just added an unknown first name, father, with the last name of Cowan because both of the sons have the last name of Cowan. And that allows me to link the brothers together, even though I don't know the name of the father. So that's kind of how I'm navigating entering names into my particular family tree when I'm not certain of specific pieces of information. Okay. Now that becomes really important, especially like if she marries multiple times, right? You don't want to have to like add all of those names. Only her maiden name goes in the surname field. Then you just add however many spouses, and you can add them whether you know their first names or not by just creating a spouse, put in his last name, and put in those 5 underscores for that first name.